Welcome back to my Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling. I shall see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhollow today, and welcome to the new year, I suppose, in New Horizons. It's year 3 starting New Horizons. Year 3, day 4? Day 3 or 4. Hopefully you enjoyed those pre-recorded videos that I recorded before. But yes, I'm back now. We're recording some actual Animal Crossing. I'll talk about, I basically went on a small trip with some friends. I'll talk about those more in the coming days, but I suppose today we'll be taking more chill vibes. We'll, be like, this is the start of year 3, etc, etc. Because that's what it is, because now I can start talking about the sort of 2 videos, well not 2 videos, more like the 1 video plus the thumbnail that I suppose I did for year 3, so now we can actually cover that, and we can also go talk to Fauna, who's moved in, who I haven't actually spoken to yet since she's moved here. Hello everyone, right now in Fawnhallow, it's 5:40 PM on Monday, March 28, 2022, Leif is here. So we can buy some stuff if we want, but we're not going to. You have to forgive me, I have a bit of a sore throat right now. Or at least it feels like my throat is a little bit hoarse, which is probably why it might sound a little bit weird to you, or you might be like, oh, it sounds completely normal, which is, I suppose a good thing if anything. So yeah, welcome to year 3, I suppose, in New Horizons. Hopefully you enjoyed the tier list, the Animal Crossing tier list. Oh yeah, I know people have been leaving comments and stuff on the videos and that sort of thing, especially things like congratulations for 3 years and that sort of thing. I haven't replied to them yet, mainly because I was going to reply to them today and this morning, and then, I've been, in a bit of a sleep debt over the past, weekend or so. So I woke up today, was like, do I feel like responding to the comments? And I was like, I do want to have more energy, so it's just like, yeah, thanks. Or, I can actually think more about it, so I apologise for that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, you can probably tell right now I'm a little bit low energy. I'm a little bit drained. This is my sort of rest and recuperation day where I'm just taking things easy, not really doing much of anything, I suppose, in particular, except for just relaxing, playing games, and well, that's about it. To be honest. But yeah, it's year 3, so yeah, the major thing was, of course, the fact that I got a new thumbnail update, and I whatchamacallit, I made an Animal Crossing tier list. So hopefully you'll, I'll talk a bit more about it, because first we're going to talk to Fauna, of course, and actually start to befriend her, because we haven't spoken to her since she's moved in, and now she's probably moved in. So hello Fauna, welcome to Fawnhollow, you're finally here. Good to see you, dear. Thanks for making me feel welcome when I was staying at the campsite. It meant a lot to me when you said I should move here, dearie. You inspired me to become an actual resident of Fawnhollow. Aw, what are you crafting? So I'm in the middle of something right now. What are you up to, Fauna? So of course, yes, Fauna is the 10th member of Fawnhollow that I wanted, a terrarium. In fact, we actually got her to move in. It's fantastic to see. I think so. Yeah, so if you haven't gone to see it right now, it's the main video, I suppose, on my channel. Or at least, I think I made it the main video on my channel. I made it to replace a 1 year and Fawnhollow Animal Crossing video. But it was why I check if it is. Hold on, how do I do it? Customize channel. You might notice also I put the new Animal Crossing formula as the banner, because that's what I wanted for it to do. Oh, I haven't added it yet. You know what? Let me add it. What's it called? Thanks. All 430 Animal Crossing villages. So yeah, that was actually it was an anniversary, not an anniversary. It was an Animal Crossing video idea I've had actually for a really long time, is to make a tier list sort of thing. But of course, a running joke I have, or sort of between a lot of my friends, is that my preferences tend to be a lot I'm not really sure how to put this. My preferences tend to be a lot more muddled, or like my favourites. And a lot of things, like, do I have favourite characters and that sort of thing? Yeah, of course I do, but I tend to be someone who tends to find good in a lot of different things. I suppose is probably how I phrase it. So at any point when I'm watching like a media property, or consuming any sort of media property, when it's like, do you have a favourite character? It'd be like, yes, I have a favourite character, but I also like these characters because of their own different, for own different reasons and that sort of thing. So it sort of become like a running joke where I was like, oh, everyone's my favourite, and that sort of thing. Like, who's your favourite character? Literally everyone. So it was an idea. If you really want to, you can trawl back through a lot of your older episodes, and you might be able to find the origin, where I was talking about tier lists or something. I can't remember. I think it was because Northern Ireland was making tier lists, and I was thinking, what could I make a tier list on? I guess something Animal Crossing related makes sense, and Animal Crossing Villages came to mind. But then, oh, it's a fake Rosetta Stone. I got excited there for a second. But of course, there's I knew there was hundreds of Animal Crossing villages, so I was like, that's not going to happen. But if I were to do it, I'd make a tier list, and then just put everyone in S tier and just say good things about them, because I like all the Animal Crossing villages, to be fair. I mean, of course I do have my favourites. Obviously my favourites are Lily. I'm trying to think who else. Audi has become a very quick favourite of mine. Biscuit as well. Those are like very notable ones who, well, I suppose all the 10 on Fawnhollow right now are my favourites. So that shouldn't really come as a surprise to anyone. I think, what? Oh, there's a Lily of a Valley. I was like, what is that in our inventory? It's been so long, I can't remember what anything is in Animal Crossing anymore. But there's a lot of good I like to see in a lot of the Animal Crossing villages, and especially when it comes to Animal Crossing, other villages kind of like where personalities get blurred a little bit. It's not like there's 413 different personalities, there's only really 8, and then kind of, if you put an asterisk next to it, you can put like 8 by 2 by how many hobbies there are, but that doesn't really change much of their personality. A lot of it's defined by their major personality type. So really, if you want to look at things from a very logical and pragmatic sense, the only thing to really rank them on would be their sort of visual design. But you know, that's, you know, as art is rather subjective in my mind, and a lot of I'm trying to think how to phrase this. What gives a villager personality to you personally would be like the sort of the time and memories that you've spent with them. Your own story, your own sort of meta stories, I suppose, that's formed around it. That's really what is the most defining thing, I think. Sorry, little pause there. What was I talking about? Sorry, something about tier list. Something about villagers. Oh yeah, memories that you form with them. That's the most important things. So yeah, actually quite a lot of research went into that tier list thing. It wasn't like, not all of that was off the top of my head, to be honest. Basically what I did was I looked up, for some reason, by the way, there's 2 Animal Crossing Wikipedias. I don't really know why there's 2. Also, I just got a message, I just need to quickly check if there's something that I need to pay attention to, but it's not, so it's okay. What was I saying? Yeah, quite a lot of research actually went into making that tier list. It was actually something I compiled basically over the course of quite a few days. And I think when did I start it? You know, I can actually go find it on my Google Drive. I can find out exactly the first day I started to put it together. Let's see. Properties, view details, created January 30th. There's no way, okay, January 30th I started by putting all the names in, which I didn't put in manually. I copied and pasted it from the table in one of the Animal Crossing wikis, and then just, you know, formatted it using, I think I did it using Excel just because it was quick to put it in. By the way, that took forever to paste in because, you know, 413 different names is surprisingly quite a lot of, it makes a Google Doc or Google Sheet or whatever a lot bigger than you'd expect. So I basically went in manually through every single Animal Crossing villager's entry on their Wikipedia, and then looked through the things that made them unique. And then, did you just give me a different tweed for the skirt? Or am I already wearing one? What am I wearing? Hold on. I'm not wearing a skirt? What happened to the skirt I was wearing underneath? Apparently it doesn't exist anymore. I must have taken it off at some point and then realised, well, thank you very much, Phoebe. Apparently you knew exactly what I was wearing before. No, what was I saying? I forgot what I was saying, to be perfectly honest. I'm sure it was, oh yeah, so I went on the Wikipedia pages and, you know, basically tried to find out what was unique about their descriptions, that sort of thing. So the things I always looked at was, 1, I looked at the photo immediately. 2, I looked at their design and tried to figure out exactly their design based on anything. I could talk about that. 3, I scrolled down to the Pocket Camp description, because Pocket Camp descriptions tend to be unique if they're actually in Pocket Camp, but a lot of times they're not. 4, I would look at the e-reader card for the Animal Forest entry, which is basically the first entry in the Animal Crossing series. And sometimes they have unique descriptions about their cards. And if all of that fails, then I would look at their Happy Home Paradise or Happy Home Designer description and talk about what that thing was. And if in the absolute nightmare scenario, none of those things were relevant, i.e., like there certainly were some villages where basically there was nothing written about them. I just make something up completely based off on like their catchphrase or their name or something like that. So it was quite difficult because, of course, there's a lot of overlap between the Animal Crossing villages. And one thing I do notice that, from doing a Pocket Camp descriptions is a lot of the Pocket Camp descriptions don't really make sense. Like, there's not a lot of consistency between a lot of their personality descriptions or depictions of a character from previous iterations, which, you know, I can't really blame the people behind them. It's not like the villagers are particular, they're rather skin-deep characters in the end. So I can't really blame them for having inconsistent descriptions about them. So it's just like, okay then. I can't, but there are certainly some really significant ones, which I honestly can't remember anymore, where it was just like their Pocket Camp descriptions where I remember reading them and being like, this has got like absolutely nothing to do with their design or what it looks like we're based off of, which is very confusing. I mean, some of it might just be like translation differences between the Japanese and English version, etc., but, you know, it was just sort of surprising, I suppose, if anything. What I was also surprised about was like how many different like actual descriptions there were for each of the characters, and you know, someone had to actually go around and actually write all of them, which is very impressive, I suppose, in its own right. If I'm being honest, it seems like a rather tedious task, shall we say. But yeah, that's basically what I did. I just went through all of the things and then, you know, wrote specific things about them. But if I can go find the actual document itself, I don't know why I closed it. I should have kept it open. I can tell you how big that file ended up being, because it's probably absolutely massive. Well, it's 49 kilobytes, which is, just for a Google document file, is surprisingly big. And how many pages does it have? That's a good question. It takes time for the document to even load in, which is how big it is. I think it has like 40 pages or something like that. 39 pages, so more or less 40, you know, but ain't too far off. I suppose, if anything, do we want any of us? Not really. And it was quite a nightmare, I suppose, doing it. There was like long stretches of time where, you know, I'd just be like, oh, I've got to actually write stuff about it, and I just like bash out 30 of the villager descriptions, I suppose, in one day, and I'm like, all right, good enough. But yeah, basically I wrote it out. All the villagers got their own sort of separate bullet point, and they're like 3 sub bullet points of like the major things to talk about with them. And then I just sat down and one day I was just like, I'm just gonna record this video. And my initial idea was I was gonna do it like start from end, like without any pauses or breaks, because I would quite like to. But that, if you watch a video, you would know that ended up being rather difficult. I don't blame you, by the way, if you haven't actually watched the entire video. It's basically 2 hours 50 minutes for basically a joke you can understand within the first 3 minutes. But if you did stick it out to the end, more credit to you. Certainly it was quite a marathon. But yeah, you know, you can do calculations for 413 villages. I was like, if I spend 10 seconds in each one, that'd be roughly 4,200 seconds, which is about 70 minutes, which is about 1 hour 10. So I was like, I might, you know, I probably would talk a bit longer about it, so I'd assume it would take about maybe like 1 hour and a half to 2 hours or that sort of thing. But I actually recorded it over the course of about 5 hours, because as it turns out, continuously talking for about half an hour at a time really, like, one, dries out your mouth, and your mouth just gets filled with spittle, you know, TMI and all that, and it just, your throat dies, and you sort of like basically talking continuously rapid fire for long stretches of time is incredibly tiring and incredibly difficult to do. So it's no surprise that I had to basically take frequent breaks, and I ended up taking more and more frequent and longer breaks as time went on, because it got more and more difficult, unsurprisingly. So I started recording, I think, around like 1:30. No, it must have been 2 around that day, and I finished around like 6, 7 or something. I can't really record off the top of my head. It was utter travesty almost. But I powered through to the end, and honestly it was quite fun. It was amusing to think about, but of course at the time it was sort of just like, you know, the equivalent one. It's a bit uppity, I suppose, to compare it to running a marathon or something like that. But, you know, I'd imagine it's similar to running a marathon. I haven't actually ran a marathon, of course. But, you know, it's very tiring at the end, and your legs are burning, you're short of breath and that sort of thing. You're like, ugh, I'd rather be doing anything but this right now. But when you reach the end, and that sort of sense of accomplishment you get from completing it is a sense of relief and, I suppose, triumph over the face of such adversity. But, of course, you know, it's not quite that grandiose, because in the end of the day I was just talking nonsense for about 3 hours. So while it certainly was an accomplishment, it was sort of like man, you know, not going to do that again probably anytime soon. I hope not, at the very least. Certainly I don't know exactly what the future might hold. But yeah, it was basically an idea I had brewing a long time ago, but I just never got around to it, because, you know, I was thinking about like, what if I started diversifying, doing different videos and that sort of thing. And then I thought about more, and it's like, you know, I don't really like video editing as a problem. I kind of just like sitting down and just recording things, because that's what I'm doing, you know. That's the whole reason I'm recording these YouTube videos in the first place, is because I didn't want to do more than just sit down and play these games, which I was going to play anyway. Why not record them anyway? While I'm playing them, you get to capture my experiences, I suppose, firsthand, which can always be an interesting sort of viewpoint. So that's why, you know, I'm recording, and I didn't want to put more effort than necessary. But of course, you know, it's anniversary time, so I just like, let us put in a little bit more effort. do something a bit more extensive, and you know, I'm very good at sort of preparing and planning for things, and so that's something which I suppose fit my forte rather than video editing, which, well, I can actually do video editing, like, don't get me wrong. I don't dislike video editing because I'm bad at it necessarily. I have basic understanding of it. I'm not going to say I'm good, because that's, you know, obviously just ridiculous, because I don't have much experience in the first place, but like, I know how to do it. Or I know how to do things in it. I believe I could edit together a simple video, but it's sort of, I just find it really tedious and boring. It's not very interesting to me, I suppose. I don't like working with with programs like After Effects or DaVinci Resolve, as I use currently. After Effects is fine. Well, I mean, they're both fine. It's just, I find it tedious, you know. It's not really something I find all that enjoyable, which is probably the main thing. Unless I was making some super sort of artsy video. Like, I can see myself enjoying making like a musical lyric video or something like that, but I can't really see myself enjoying other sort of video editing. It's tedious, and you know, my respect goes out to the people who do video editing. It's rather annoying and I suppose unspoken task, because you don't, I think the average Joe sort of just doesn't really notice it, which is fair enough, because a lot of it's sort of just like fixing like audio levels and that sort of thing, and making things cut together seamlessly and nicely. But yeah, but of course, you know, since it's the anniversary, I was like, okay, let's do something a little bit more fun, a little bit more special in that regard. So that's why I put a bit more effort into the pre-planning of it, so I could still just record a video, which is just sit down and just do it. So yeah, there's not really much else to say about the tier list. I honestly don't remember like anything I said about that tier list, so you know, I apologise if I said something weird about your favourite village or anything like that. Hopefully it was amusing. Hopefully you found it funny, at least. You see the humour, that sort of thing. But yeah, anyway, I guess we'll talk about thumbnail art while we, let's do the daily exercises. Thumbnail art was something, I also, because I started like formulating ideas, and by formulating ideas I don't mean like drawing anything, I mean like just thinking about it, you know, like when I go to sleep. Like 3 months ago or something, basically being like, okay, what sort of idea do I want for the thumbnail art? And I knew, if you don't know, the thumbnail art for year 2 was one where I incorporated all previous and current Fawnhollow villagers. I knew that was obviously something I could not upkeep if I wanted to continuously make Animal Crossing videos or future. So, you know, I was like, okay, let's stick with the core 10, which I want for my Fawnhollow island. Of course, the only exception is the fact that Fawnhollow had not actually moved onto my island at that point, so which is what spurred me to get these sort of amiibos, quote, amiibos, not actually amiibos, to actually get her to move to the island in the first place. So yeah, I was thinking about what I could do, and I was like, maybe we should do a different season, because if you don't know, the very first thumbnail art is of course based in summer, because that's when the actual promotional art was, and then the second thumbnail art was based in springtime. If you can tell by like spring picnics, but there was a little sort of element of seasons changing at the very back, if you noticed, but I kept it very much within the same season, because I didn't draw. It was more like there are different seasons represented by the flora, but the weather actually didn't change or anything like that, because I thought it would look a bit strange. So I was like, let's do a different season. But the thing is, of course, these Animal Crossing thumbnail arts stay all year round, and while I think spring and summer seemed like a bit more universal season aesthetic compared to autumn and winter, which are very sort of noticeable, I suppose, outside their time frame. It looks significantly stranger having like a snowy themed thumbnail art than a summer themed thumbnail art in the middle of, a snowy themed thumbnail art in the middle of summer than it is having a summer sunshiny day themed thumbnail art in the middle of winter, in my opinion. Your mileage may vary. So then that sort of led me down the idea of being like, oh, what if we could somehow incorporate all the seasons in one thumbnail art? And you know, I sort of played around with the idea. I don't really know how that would work. Maybe we can have like different aesthetics. Maybe we can have like the wild sort of thumbnail art on like the wild with like the different seasons all around, and I didn't really like that idea. And then I thought about more, and I was like, I really like to update my banner art as well for my Twitter and YouTube, which is something I very hastily threw together. I basically just like you see my Fawnhollow flag right here. I just made like a logo for Dear Darling. Like I didn't really think much about it. Maybe I'd update it at some point. And then was like, oh, I need a banner art. Okay, I guess I'll just sort of update. I'll just like make some sort of wishy-washy banner art using that logo and that sort of thing. And Also, you know, the icon I made for my YouTube channel was also something I just hastily put together because I don't know, because I just kind of wanted to think about what D would even look like. So I was like, it'd be nice to update those. I kind of dropped the idea of updating my icon because I would like to make a specific icon with a different sort of set of clarity, I suppose. So I was like, okay, so that sort of brought about the idea of making everything sort of quite horizontally contained, like having things change from left to right of horizontally, like a horizontal transition throughout the year is basically what I had in mind. And then I was like, okay, we can have 4 seasons and we can have a capstones of like day and night, I suppose, at each end. And I was like, that leans in well to the Fawnhollow residents because the villages in my mind, of course, they all represent like the seasons and the 4 basic elements in my mind in the first place. If you didn't know, that was something I basically had conceptually for Fawnhallow ages ago, which is why I started the designs in such a way when I revamped Fawnhallow, and it's probably how I should continue designing them when I feel like it. So if you don't know, Fauna and Phoebe are meant to be the sort of duality of day and night and life and death, or creation and destruction. And then we have like Biscuit and Lily are meant to be water and spring time respectively, and then Rowan and Audie are fire and summer respectively. And of course Raymond and Vivian is meant to be earth and autumn. And then we have finally Apollo and Amelia being wind and winter respectively. And of course they have like other sort of things tied in with them as well, like the Amelia's also meant to be like some like fashion and that sort of thing, while Rowan's also meant to be like adventure. Audie's meant to be like a fun party spirit, like festivity celebrations, stuff like that. Oh no, maybe Vivian was meant to be fashion. I can't even remember. That one's a bit more like wishy-washy, but it was based off the idea of like having like a pantheon of gods, essentially, is what they were. With D basically being like the head of a pantheon, you know, like the Zeus, the Jupiter of the Fawnhollow pantheon. At least that was a sort of concept. And then, you know, you can't really see it in my island designs because I'm a bit lazy when it comes to decorating. So I was like, okay, we can of course tie all the villages to those specific seasons and that sort of thing. By the way, if you want to know, I suppose, more about the technical details of the thumbnail art, go watch the thumbnail art time lapse, because I go into it a little bit more there. Yeah, so that sort of came about. It was something I started a while ago as well. I wonder if I can find out. I can probably find out when I first created the file to actually start working on it. Let's see. Properties. Date created? 24th of March. That doesn't sound right. That's definitely wrong. I definitely started it way before 24th of March. I did not finish it in 4 days. I worked on it on and off. Oh, you know what? I can probably see when I first recorded the first video for it. Recorded on... When was this recorded? 10th of March. That sounds about right. Yeah, I actually started around 1st of March, I think. But I created the actual canvas, I suppose, for thumbnail art, and then I did a lot of things off camera of collecting like data, like collecting references, I suppose, for what I wanted, and stored them all together. And I started actually drawing on 10th of March. Actually, I started drawing a little bit beforehand. I experimented with some thumbnail ideas. Thumbnailings being like you make a very mini sketch, I suppose, of what you want, just so you can sort of see the outline. And you see it in a lot of the other thumbnail arts I've done. I suppose it's a bit confusing calling thumbnails, but whatever. Yeah, I'm not sure what we can do with these Lily of the Valleys now, because I believe that we've completely filled up this area, haven't we? So anyway, I'm trying to think of anything else conceptually I wanted to say about it. Yeah, and I wanted a nice transition, I suppose, from day to spring to summer to midday to autumn to winter to nighttime. I thought it would be a very cool idea, and honestly, I think it does actually look quite nice. It turned out a lot better than I expected. I will say it turned out a lot busier than I expected as well, because of course you're cramming a load of different thematics all tying together and makes it rather difficult to see everything distinctly. But I quite liked it. In the end is probably what I'd say about it. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't really have else much conceptually to add to that sort of thing. It seems like other people like it as well, so you know, thank you for that support. I will respond to your messages probably tomorrow morning, or maybe the day after tomorrow. I don't know. This is my relaxing recuperation day, so please forgive me for not actually responding to things like that. So basically, I just kind of wanted to wrap up and be like, thank you for your support, and hopefully this year 3 would be a nice one. Go watch those videos if you haven't watched them. I did a commentary over thumbnail art time lapse, which is something a little different. By the way, I recorded that thumbnail art commentary at like 11 PM, like the day before my trip and that sort of thing. So that's why I sound so tired on it. I also don't know why I keep making this weird noise. I think it's because my mouth was super dry or something. Yeah, so I recorded that quite late, and it was completely just like off the top of my head, and I didn't really plan on what I was going to say, so hopefully it was at least kind of informative and that sort of thing. But yeah, I'm going to round off this episode here, and we'll get back into the usual sort of anecdotes, things that you've come to expect of Animal Crossing in the future episodes. So for now, if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Any likes, comments, subscriptions, shares are greatly appreciated. Join my Dear Darling Discord, follow me on Twitter down below. Hope we see each other again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now.